Jerry is now Hurricane Jerry. This seems to be a schizophrenic storm. Can't make up its mind.
Tropical storm, or former tropical storm, crashed a couple of forecasts last night. It did get stronger and turned into a hurricane. It also continued moving north-northwest instead of turning northeast. So we have hurricane warnings back out in a different area than we had the tropical storm warnings last night, which is about par for the course for these things. We'll check Jerry and also our forecast with a big change coming up right after this.
Presentation has the Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Well, there weren't too many storm clouds in the sky across the state today, but the wind was kicking up pretty good, usually a sign that we're getting some vigorous weather system approaching our area. And although the weather stayed nice today, this will be about the last nice, at least for summer weather day, that we have this year. Look for weather like this again not until 1990. The storm is not far away on satellite picture, just moving into the northwestern part of the state. Just the beginning edge of the storm clouds up there. National Weather Service radar out of Goodland shows a brief line of showers in northeastern Colorado from around Sterling down toward Akron. These will get a little bigger and slowly spread off to the southeast, moving into northwestern Kansas later on tonight. So the evening forecast from now until midnight shows those clouds moving into the northwestern part of the state and a few light rain showers for northwestern Kansas, southwest Nebraska, and northeast Colorado, perhaps with a little snow mixed in with the rain showers over northeastern Colorado. So some wintry weather closing in this evening. The rest of us still fairly mild with clear to partly cloudy skies, but that will change before long because it's a big storm. It's moving southeast, and there's a lot of wet, cool weather behind the fringes just moving into our area now that will slide in over the next couple of days. Now, folks down along the Texas-Louisiana coast are worrying about Jerry, which did not turn northeast towards southeastern Louisiana last night. It continued north-northwest and strengthened to a hurricane. Maximum winds now 85 miles per hour, and the storm is headed for the northeastern Texas coast. Jerry is located only about 50 miles offshore, south-southeast of Galveston right now, and hurricane warnings are out from Port O'Connor, Texas, to Intracoastal City, Louisiana, and tropical storm warnings are out from Intracoastal City to Port Morgan. So this looks like the area here, and the latest radar out of Galveston shows that Hurricane Jerry is just about to make landfall. Here is the center right here. The heaviest rain bands about 50 miles south of Galveston now. Looks like the thing will come ashore on the Texas coast just south of Galveston. So Galveston and Houston, pretty interesting weather for the next couple of hours, including the possibility of some scattered tornadoes as Jerry comes ashore. Back in our area, though, things are a little bit more calm, except for the wind, which is out of the south at 24, gusting to 33 at the airport. High today in Wichita, 89 degrees. Or 86 degrees, actually. The forecast was for 90 degrees, so a little bit off. It's still pretty close with the summer-like weather. And temperatures now still well up into the 80s, with 86 at Hutch and 84 at Wichita, central and eastern Kansas. Nothing wintry on this part of the map yet. Even Concordia at 87 degrees and Medicine Lodge at 89. But look at Colby out in west with the 60, 69 in Hill City, and 70s out in the west with the cooler air starting to move in. We'll see 30s in northwest Kansas tonight, 40s over much of the rest of the state, 50s and 60s pushed far off to the southeast behind a cold front with cooler air moving in by tomorrow morning. And yes, after sunrise or after the midnight hour through the early morning hours, perhaps some snow mixed with the rain over northwestern Kansas. As the front continues south, the temperatures will stay fairly cool tomorrow, and the rain will move in across the rest of Kansas with snow hiding out in northeastern Colorado, perhaps to move into northwestern Kansas again tomorrow night. Here's the forecast now for your local area, and it does have some weather changes coming in. Tomorrow, highs in the 40s out west, 50s for most of the rest of us. But this evening, our warmest temperatures for the next 24 hours, around 69 in the metro, and after that, it's all downhill. We'll be down to 47 with partly cloudy to cloudy skies by morning. Cooler up to the north with showers moving in after sunrise. Noon temperature in the upper 40s or only around 50 degrees, and only a few degrees warmer than that tomorrow afternoon. So tomorrow afternoon, temperatures in the low to mid-50s, and we'll go down again into the 40s tomorrow night and Tuesday morning. Marty?
Sounds chilly.
Schaeffer checks in with word of unusual November weather. Don't get used to hearing about thunderstorms this time of year.
No, that's true. And later in the week, it looks like the jet stream is going to sag dramatically south. Of course, it took me about 3 hours to figure out what that meant in terms of a forecast. But it looked nice on the map. And in any event, I think I have a handle on it now. And we'll check the forecast day by day in just a minute.
Dave Schaefer's weather presentation has the American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Well, we've got a nice unassuming jet stream right now, but then they all start out that way, don't they? By Wednesday, the jet should sag down to the south, which should cause some changes in our weather. although not quite as dramatic as you might seem. So no ranting and raving tonight on my part about drastic cold waves or snowstorms. This jet stream will push a lot of the moisture off to the east, so any storminess in our area will be mainly limited to the eastern half of the state and will become to spotty. The storm system will also bring in some cooler air due to the northwesterly track on the back of this jet stream flow, but most of the real cold air will swing through the Great Lakes and off toward the northeast. So we will see some spotty storminess off and on for the next couple of days and a modest cooling trend toward the end of the week, but nothing drastic, I'm afraid. Sorry to be so disappointing on a Sunday night like that. We're in between storms right now, one off to the west approaching through Colorado and Wyoming. Another one has passed over and is now moving through the Mississippi Valley. We've got some nice thunderstorms on that storm system, but for those of you who are waiting for rain, I'm afraid these are moving east away from us. We've got to set our sights on this western storm, and precipitation right in here is very light and very spotty, even though the storm system looks fairly impressive off to the northwest. It'll be swinging in later on tonight, so we'll expect some clouds over western Kansas and maybe some sprinkles, but for tonight, the major precipitation, that is, the getting anything wet kind of precipitation, will stay off to the northwest in the form of snow and off to the southeast in the form of rain and thunderstorms. Pretty quiet night for Kansas and North Oklahoma. A few sprinkles in the northwest will be all in the way of storminess we'll see tonight. At the airport at 10 o'clock, dew point down to 35. Winds are out of the northeast now at 6 miles per hour, fairly light. Allergy watch, no ragweed or pigweed now, and we had a modest change on the mold spores, but still not too high, so fairly good news there. And the high today in Wichita was 70 degrees, fairly nice. State high 73. The cold spot this morning, Salina, with a low temperature of 37. Across the area right now, Salina is reporting in with 42 degrees. Hutch and Pratt at 49 with Wichita at 45. Enid down to the south, pretty warm with 58 degrees at 10 o'clock. Out to the west, it's 43 at Colby, Garden City, and Dodge. 48 Hill City, and a warm spot in the southwest with 47 at Liberal. It'll be 30s for most of us tonight, although for the most part above freezing. A small area of 40s moving north from Oklahoma through Pratt and up towards St. John west of Hutchinson tomorrow. For the northwestern half of the state, 60s for the southeastern half, including the metro. Low 70s, so a mild, uncharacteristic November day of weather. And as for our weather pattern, kind of complicated with a front and trough intersecting. Out to the west with the drier flow, we'll have mainly sunny to partly cloudy weather. Off to the east, we'll start out with partly cloudy as well, but with some Gulf moisture. Late tomorrow afternoon, we'll count on some thunderstorms there. That's an area of thunderstorms that will actually stretch up to the Great Lakes and off to the east coast, with the rest of the precipitation in the northern Rockies and the western half of the state. Looks like high and dry. Here's the forecast now for your local area. For central Kansas overnight, we'll call it mostly clear, down to the mid to upper 30s or low 40s, with winds coming back around to the south to southeast by morning. Tomorrow morning after sunrise, sunny to partly cloudy, so no big storminess here either. Up to the low to mid 60s by noon, topping out in the mid to upper 60s north of the metro, or low 70s through the metro down into Oklahoma. Kind of warm once you get into Oklahoma with partly cloudy skies, and from around Wichita and Hutchinson on east, a good chance of scattered thunder showers late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. Another chance of some sprinkles Tuesday and Wednesday. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s through Thursday, then dropping down towards 60 through Friday for a modest cooling trend.
Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Well, we were in pretty good shape with highs in the 50s and 60s today, but over much of the Great Lakes and upper Mississippi Valley, the high temperatures were at freezing or even lower than that, in some cases into the teens. That was because of the jet stream, which has kind of fenced off that colder air from us over in the northeastern quarter of the country. Now, over the next couple of days, the jet stream will wiggle around a little bit, but it will stay basically out of the northwest there, and that means that any cold air that tries to slide down from Canada will, for the most part, get shoved off to the eastern part of the country. We'll get the fringe out worst, and that means at least our afternoon temperatures should be fairly mild for this time of year, but there is some bad news. This is also a very dry jet stream for us, so no rain or snow this week. That's bad news because it's been dry like that for about 6 or 7 weeks now, and we really need the rain. This jet stream says it won't happen anytime soon. Around the area right now, we don't have much in the way of cloud cover. That's all down in Texas and along the Louisiana Gulf Coast. These clouds will stay there tonight. What cloudiness we do have will be over in the southeastern part of the state overnight, so we'll expect clear skies over most of the state. Over the southeast, clear to partly cloudy, no storminess. It will get kind of cool, but not as cool as it usually gets this time of year. So even tonight, fairly mild by the standards of mid-November. Dew point at 10 o'clock, 37. Wind is out of the south at 15 miles per hour. That will help hold the temperatures up for the most part over freezing tonight. The high in Wichita today was 59 degrees. The state high at 68. That was out in the western part of the state at Garden City. And at 10 o'clock, across central and eastern Kansas, most temperatures reporting in now in the 30s in the case of Russell with 36, 41 at Salina. Hutchinson is at 48, and Wichita a bit warmer at 49 degrees. Out in the western part of the state, Colby reports 34. Hill City down below freezing by 1 degree already. Garden City at 35 and 40s at Dodge City and Liberal. Lows tonight mainly in the 30s for Kansas and northwest Oklahoma. North central and northeastern Oklahoma, still a few low 40s hanging on there. And for tomorrow, central and eastern Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, 60s, unseasonably warm, and around 70 degrees over about the western third of Kansas, the northwest of Oklahoma, and the Panhandle. So it looks like a fairly nice day coming up. We can't say that about everybody, though. The Northeast has finally gotten rid of the thunderstorms that caused severe weather the past couple of days, but there's still a good deal of cloudiness over the Great Lakes. That's kind of snow cloudiness, and lake effect snow squalls moving through that area. So they have some cold, wintry weather continuing there, especially since they're under the influence of Arctic high pressure and this big high-pressure dome. That's the same air we shoved out of the state earlier today. Tomorrow, as that retreats to the east, we'll stay in the warm air with downslope wind conditions and sunny skies. So it looks like a great mid-November Sunday coming up for us tomorrow, with the precipitation limited to the far northern Rockies with snow and the far northeast with freezing rain, and sleet there. Here's the forecast for your local area. For central Kansas overnight, we'll call for clear to partly cloudy skies. Lows in the 30s, except for the case of Ponca City, around 40 degrees there. Low 60s by noon, sunny skies, and sunny tomorrow afternoon. Looks like upper 60s or around 70 degrees for a great day. The 5 days says we'll stay sunny to partly cloudy right through Thursday. Highs in the 60s and 70s, except for 55 on Thursday. 30s and 40s in the morning. Pretty nice for November, except for that dry forecast.
The presentation has the American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Well, I'm sure you've heard various weathermen moaning the past couple of months about the shape of the jet stream with this upper level ridge out to the west, putting us in a dry northwesterly flow pattern. But it seems that this ridge is going to relax a little bit over the next couple of days, and that's important because the next storm that comes along, although it doesn't look like much moving through the Rockies, should get quite a bit bigger as it passes east and moves into our area of the country and gives us our next best chance at rain or snow or perhaps both. And who cares what it is? It's just going to be moisture. Look for that sometime on Thursday. In the meantime, the heaviest rain is down south of Cuba. Tropical storm Karen down here kind of blundering around rather aimlessly. A minimal tropical storm with maximum winds only around 40 miles per hour. Not much of a problem there. Lots of clouds up around the Great Lakes. Big storm starting to wind up there and should pass on to the northeast over the next couple of days. And then we have another one off to the northwest. Looks strong, but as that one slides our way, we aren't going to get anything but high clouds. Certainly no rain or snow. It will have left all that back in the northern Rocky Mountains. So it looks like we'll stay high and dry for a little while with all the rain and snow off to the east, south, and off to the west. That means clear skies on our satellite picture tonight. These clouds along the Gulf Coast will stay down that way. We're calling for clear skies overnight, all night long, except for some high clouds moving into southern Nebraska and northern Kansas about 3 hours or 4 hours before sunrise tomorrow morning. And with the clear skies, we also have some very dry air out there. The dew point only around 10. Winds out of the north around 10 miles per hour, but even they are dropping down. And when you have clear skies, dry air, and light winds, it gets cold. My point, the 10 o'clock temperatures down in the 20s in northern Kansas with 27 at Salina and Hutchinson. Wichita down to 29 with Pratt at 31 degrees. Colby and Hill City already down at 19. Garden City and Dodge in the 20s. The Liberal just hanging on a few degrees above freezing at 10 o'clock. Tonight, most of the state will be down in the teens. A possibility of single digits tonight over northeastern Kansas. Teens down into northern Oklahoma. The only 20s in our area right along the far northwestern border areas where some wind tomorrow morning will hook the temperatures up a little bit sometime around sunrise. Now, our high today in Wichita was 48 degrees with the state high at 52 at Liberal. We're going to really beat that tomorrow, mainly because our high temperatures will be in the 50s over central and eastern Kansas and up around 60 degrees for western Kansas and the western two-thirds of the Panhandle. How are we going to manage that trick when we're cooling off so rapidly now? Well, it has something to do with this high pressure. Lots of cold air coming in around that high pressure right now behind a cold front that moved through earlier today, but that will retreat quickly off to the east tomorrow, allowing us to warm up under mostly sunny skies. at least before sunset. 6 p.m. will be after sunset. So while the big storm rages across the northeast, cold weather extends clear on to the south around Florida, and we have another cold front over the northwest. It looks like our weather late tomorrow afternoon will be warming and fairly dry. Our next storm will still be way out in the Pacific. This one will come through on Monday and Tuesday, not really do much of anything, but the one that follows way out here, that's our Thursday storm, our next chance for rain or snow. Here's the forecast now for your local area. First of all, overnight looks like teens for the whole area, pretty close to single digits around Emporia. Winds very light overnight, then some high clouds moving in tomorrow from the north. Temperatures up around 40 by noon and rising all the way into the low to mid-50s. By late afternoon, under sunny skies across the area. Pretty nice way to fill out a weekend, and the low temperatures right through about Thursday will keep rising out of the teens to around 30. Pretty warm Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon. Rain and snow Thursday. Marty, Christy?
Okay, Christy will be here in a minute. Thank you.
That's headed east, Marty. It looks like the snow tonight will largely be south of Interstate 70 in Kansas and should extend south all across the state of Oklahoma, with the jet stream impulse coming in from the west. National Weather Service radar out of Garden City shows an area of snow around Garden City and down into Texas and Beaver counties of the Panhandle. This is moving east at about 30 miles per hour and will be spreading across most of central and eastern Kansas and the rest of northern Oklahoma overnight and tomorrow morning. Several inches of snow possible, so slippery driving on tap tomorrow morning. But that is just the beginning of the stormy weather this week. More on that in the weather in just a minute.
And I understand now, this is like a murder mystery. There's a blizzard going to happen somewhere in the Midwest sometime.
Somewhere, yes. Probably late Monday and Tuesday. We've got storms kind of stacked up about 3,000 miles up the jet stream. The last one will be the worst one and will come late Monday and Tuesday, and that one's going to be a humdinger. More about all three and the cold to follow right after this.
The American Meteorological Society seal of approval.
Well, here is storm number one, and if it doesn't impress you, remember we have several others to follow, getting bigger each time. An impulse is moving out of Colorado into western Kansas, along with some clouds moving out of the Panhandle into western Oklahoma. These clouds are dropping some snow some of the places in western Kansas. Sharon Springs, Tribune, and Leota reporting 1 to 3 inches of new snow through this afternoon and this evening, and I think that will spread mainly across southern Kansas tonight and northern Oklahoma, with mainly the heavy snow along the southern Kansas area, with flurries up to the north and then clear off tomorrow. Accumulations will be very, very light in northern Kansas, none up to about an inch at most. 1 to 3 in kind of a central zone, and then down through southern Kansas. Looks like a possibility of 2 to 4, most likely on the range of 2 down there, and possibly a little bit heavier in northern Oklahoma, making for slippery driving tomorrow morning. But that is just the beginning. Here's the disturbance in the jet stream that is moving the snow in right now. It'll fly in across the area tomorrow morning and then move back out tomorrow afternoon, while another impulse gathers strength out over Salt Lake City. That one will slide in on Monday, while another impulse slides down out of Canada. This will be the strong one. It'll kind of belly out down here in the Four Corners and gather its strength and then sling a nasty storm our way. Somewhere in the Midwest, there is likely to be a full-scale blizzard. Could be us, but we just aren't sure yet. We'll be checking on it over the next couple of days. In the meantime, we have some clouds over the area and some cold air accumulating up over Kansas in this clearing right here. And after all the storms are done rolling through our area, that will slide in for another bitter cold spell of temperatures starting on Tuesday and really lasting just about the rest of the week. Makes our weather right now not look too bad. Dew point up to 6 degrees. The airport wind has come around out of the south at 12 miles per hour. That's helping keep the temperature tonight anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees warmer than last night. We got up to 17 in Wichita today after a low of 6 below zero. The state high was 30, but look at Manhattan's low this morning, 17 degrees below zero. That is just amazing. Temperatures right now not nearly that cold. 8 in Concordia, Salina down to 9. Emporia at 2, but as the clouds move over Emporia, that temperature should go up. So I'm not anticipating the low after midnight will be that low. Probably up around 6 or 7 degrees. Chinook down to 8. Teens in Hutchinson and Wichita. And as you go out to the west, we've got some 20s hiding out there, especially in southwestern Kansas with the warmer air. Lows overnight. Look for single digits in the northeast again, otherwise mostly teens. A few 20s and highs tomorrow in the teens over the northeast with the colder air. The rest of us look for low to mid-20s. We are going to have some snow that will be moving into central and eastern Kansas tomorrow morning, and while it moves out tomorrow afternoon, giving us a few breaks in the clouds, our second wave will be gathering strength in the Rockies. That will slide in on Monday with a biggie due in late Monday and Tuesday. Here's the forecast now for your local area. For central Kansas overnight, we'll have some snow moving in, heaviest in southern Kansas, northern Oklahoma. Lows in the single digits north of the metro, otherwise low to mid-teens. Up to the mid to upper teens or low 20s by tomorrow morning with the snow continuing. That will move out tomorrow afternoon, leaving mostly cloudy skies, maybe an occasional glimpse at the sun. High temperatures generally in the mid or low to mid-20s. Generally better than today by about 5 to 10 degrees. On Monday, 20s again after a low in the teens. Tuesday, we cool down. Quite a bit of snow possible then, and as the snow leaves, the temperatures drop down. Lows around 0 or below 0 on Wednesday and Thursday morning. High temperatures not much better, so a repeat dose of our cold medicine by midweek. Marty?
Thanks a lot.
The station has the American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Take cover might be some good advice.
A serious situation occurring in the weather.
Over the next couple of days, polar bears will feel more at home in Kansas than humans will, so we'll have to take care and watch out how we dress up when we go outside. Some dangerous temperatures headed our way, but we have a Christmas present coming in the long-range forecast. This is the real culprit of the current weather situation, this jet stream that's brought down cold air right off the polar cap through Canada down to us, the author of our present cold wave. By next week, though, the jet stream should relax a little bit. It'll be coming out of the northwest off the Pacific. This is a warmer jet stream flow for us, so temperatures next week rising back to normal, and that means above freezing, although the drawback is it is a rather dry weather pattern. It looks like, though, that this pattern will come in just in time to let us rise above freezing on Christmas Day for about the first time in 2 weeks, at least here in south central Kansas. What a Christmas present considering the current weather. Right now, though, we still have to deal with a warped jet stream. Here it is surging up through Alaska, then down toward our area. And when the jet goes up here, of course, when it gets over to us, it comes down rather drastically. And watch what happens to these clouds caught up in the jet. Got some development here today. Big band of clouds there as the cold air surges south. We've even got some snow flurries and light snow in that cloud band. We've even had some reported here in the suburbs of Wichita in the past half hour or so. Nothing that's really going to cause a whole lot of trouble as far as snowfall, but what will come along with the clouds in the way of temperature could be a big problem. The high today in Wichita, 30 degrees. Sounds pretty warm now. The state high of 43 was in Goodland. A couple hours after that 43 occurred, it was down to about 4 above 0 in Goodland. As the cold air come in, and it's been pouring in from Nebraska just about all evening long, it's 1 above in Concordia, Russell, 4 above in Salina, Hutchinson reporting only 6 above. Here in Wichita, we're hanging on to 12 above, but we'll be in the single digits by next hour. It's -1 in Colby, 0 in Hill City, 3 in Garden City and Dodge. Even Liberal in the southwest is at 6 degrees. So some very cold weather moving in right now. And it'll get worse, I'm afraid, as the night goes on. The wind chill right now in Wichita, 26 below. Out at Dodge City, it's around 45 below. And those north winds gusting to 31 will continue to bring in a lot of cold air right out of Nebraska and the Dakotas. The lows tonight in northern Kansas in the -teens. Most of the rest of the state below 0. The only above 0 readings really down in Oklahoma. We have wind chill advisories to Nebraska, all of Kansas, most of Oklahoma, into eastern Colorado, and a snow advisory in the northern mountains of that state. Highs tomorrow in the -teens in northern Kansas, below 0 for most of the rest of the state, above 0 really only when you get down into Oklahoma. So some pretty extreme weather coming up, courtesy of this high pressure and all the cold air around it. Add in the wind, and we'll have wind chills perhaps as low as -60, and also some snow. But remember, the snow is not a big problem in our area. Most of us will get an inch or less, and a small accumulation out over the high plains. The cold will be the real scourge of the weather for the next couple of days. Here's the forecast now for your local area and for the overnight period for central Kansas, down to around 10 below in north central Kansas, around 5 below by sunrise in the metro area, and just above 0 down in northern Oklahoma. Temperatures not changing much by noon, basically holding the same with light snow and flurries, then dropping another 5 degrees or so by tomorrow evening, down to 10 below in the metro, and that means even colder on Friday morning. By the way, the high temperature on Thursday, around 0 in the metro, will be around midnight tonight, the low of 10 below sometime tomorrow evening. Friday morning, -20 degrees, even in southern Kansas, up to 5 below for a high on Friday, even with sunshine, and we slowly get warmer after that, but we have to work our way all the way into Christmas just to get back above freezing once again. And the 6 to 10 day for Tuesday through Saturday next week calls for normal temperatures. That's much warmer than what we've got now, and far below normal precipitation. A mixed bag, but the warm-up will be very nice indeed. Rose, Larry?
Those temperatures he's talking about, serious stuff out there. It's just hard to imagine how cold it is.
Nice to be sitting here.
Certainly does. I'm not going to ruin that either.
Okay, all right. Not even with a bad forecast.
Well, I was talking about records in the forecast coming up the next couple of days. One record might be how long I can keep talking with my voice like this. We'll find out about that and the records right after this.
This weather presentation has the American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Well, folks, the weather is still rather mild for January, but even with above normal temperatures, we get down well below freezing each night in January, so keep those coats, sweaters, and blankets coming. This is the count as of last night, but we'd like to do a little bit better than that over the next couple of days. If you have any coats, sweaters, or blankets you can part with, take them to Best Cleaners here at KAKE-TV or KZSN Radio and put them in the bin donated by BFI, and we'll take them there and add them all up and give them to some people who really need them this winter. And we have some satellite pictures to show you right now. Mostly storms off to the south and to the north. We're kind of high and dry in between right now, and this is a jet stream I'm not really happy with and a storm pattern I really don't like, not because we're not having storm in us, but basically because this is very dry. These showers down along the Gulf Coast will move off this way, and the stuff on the west coast will never get over the Rockies, and we really don't need any more dry weather at all, but it looks like that's what we have coming up with this cloud cover to the south, staying down the south tonight. We'll call for clear skies and dry weather overnight. On the good side, temperatures should be fairly moderate. Now, today across the area, we had a high of 47 in Wichita after a low of 21 this morning. It got up to 53 in Goodland and Hill City for the state high this afternoon. After 9 above in Garden City, temperatures dropped so low there, courtesy of what was left of the snow cover from several days ago. At 10 o'clock across central and eastern Kansas, temperatures above freezing, dropping down to below freezing. Hutchinson and Pratt at 35, but Salina down to 31, with Wichita and Ponca City all the way down to 28 degrees. Out to the west, it's also 28 in Colby with 35 in Hill City, 24 at Garden City, and still in the 30s at Dodge and Liberal, but not by much. We'll see lows from western Kansas to the eastern part of the state into 20s tonight, mainly because that's where the dew points are. The wind, as it picks up later on tonight, will keep temperatures from going any lower than this, although we may have a few teens again out around Garden City. Highs tomorrow looks like 50s across the board for Kansas and northern Oklahoma. That's beautiful weather for January. As for storms, we're going to have to look farther west for those. Here's one storm off the west coast, but this one will miss us completely, so that's not our next storm. We'll see the next one taking shape way out here in the mid-Pacific by early Tuesday. It looks like a fairly strong system, but the problem is it has two parts, and the top part will move faster than the lower part. So as it slides in, it's going to kind of tilt over like this. That will give us sort of a northerly jet stream there, and although that's good for cool and mild dry air for January, it pushes most of the moisture off to the southeast, so the possibilities of rain or even snow with this next weather system on Thursday look very bleak indeed. The good side, the jet will be to the north until that storm gets here. That means mild conditions and possible near record to record-breaking high temperatures over the next couple of days. The fronts will stay to the north, so will the cold air. Looks like our weather will simply be clear to partly cloudy skies. Unfortunately, the precipitation will stay off to the east and off to the west, and we will be dry. That will really be the story of most of the rest of the week. Here's the forecast now for your local area. Overnight, we'll call for lows in the low to mid-20s, clear skies, light south to southwest winds. Tomorrow, sunny, temperatures quickly up into the mid-40s by noon, topping out in the low to mid-50s tomorrow afternoon under sunny to partly cloudy skies, and we will get warmer steadily each day through about Wednesday. Upper 50s on Monday, 60 on Tuesday, mid-60s on Wednesday, back down to 50 on Thursday. Looks like still fairly cool in the mornings with temperatures around freezing. The worst part of this forecast, though, only a chance of sprinkles on Thursday. We really need something quite a bit more substantial than that, but we may have to wait until next week.
Days like you and I.
All right, thanks, Will. How long has it been since we've had a substantial rain?
Really, since about last September over much of the state, and that's partly the problem, the distribution of rainfall. Imagine we got 52 inches of rain everywhere in Kansas and northern Oklahoma, and that came down about an inch per week. We wouldn't have much trouble growing things with that kind of rainfall pattern, but suppose you got all 52 inches in one day. Some would soak into the ground, the rest would wash away and wash half of us away with it, run down through creeks and rivers, and we never get the benefit of that at all, and the rest of the year we'd be bone dry. And under circumstances like that, even though you're getting the same amount of rain, it's very difficult to grow anything, and you can get very dry. And that's essentially what's happened to Kansas and North Oklahoma the past couple of years, with almost all our rain the last year and a half concentrated late last spring and last summer. It kind of greened things up then, but since September we've been very dry, and we're right back into our dry weather pattern, and it's damaging the winter wheat, among other things.
Any chance of relief in the near term?
I wish I could offer some, and we'll find out why I can't, even though storms are stacked out to the west for 3,000 miles in just a minute.
Presentation has the American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Well, here's some of the rainy weather we've been missing. This is in Oregon around the Portland area. High winds blew down a large tree and flattened that car and pretty much made a pancake out of the mobile home right next to it. Lots of wind with the storm, but along with the wind, which is something we usually have here more or less, there was also a lot of rain, and believe me, we could use just a fraction of what they've been getting for the past couple of days. And as a matter of fact, the satellite picture shows storms from the coast about 2,000 miles to the west off in the Pacific. All those storms headed inland on a very fast jet stream with wind speeds aloft well over 100 miles per hour. And the jet stream continues along to the north of us, right across the United States, bringing those storm clouds very close to us. So we have storm clouds stacked up from northwest Kansas to about 3,000 miles to the west. And we're not going to get one drop of rain or one flake of snow from any of those storms. Here's one of the reasons why. Subtropical jet moving up across Mexico, creating this storm right here. And as that storm circulates and rotates, it tends to pull air from us down across the Gulf of Mexico. That means moisture from the Gulf can't make its customary trip this way to us with the wind blowing from north to south. So that source of moisture for rain is cut off for us. Now, as these storms full of moisture hit the coast, they have to cross the coastal ranges, the Cascades, then the northern Rockies, and in the process, they lose all their low-level moisture. When they get to us, they have the high-level stuff. That's good for high, thin clouds, but not enough down lower for rain or snow. So despite all these storms to the west, we're essentially stuck in a very dry weather pattern. So we'll continue to see rain off to the southeast and east, rain off to the west, which can't cross the mountains, dry weather in between, about the only thing we'll get out of it over the next 4 or 5 days. A patch of high clouds drifting in from the west from time to time, not a drop of rain or flake of snow for any of them through about Friday, and maybe a little bit longer than that. So clear to partly cloudy tonight. No chance of precipitation whatsoever. At the airport, dew point around 25. Winds are out of the southwest at 6. That'll help keep us a little warmer tonight. We didn't do too bad today with 49 for a high in Wichita and 61 for the state high out in Hill City. Central and eastern Kansas at 10 o'clock, sinking gradually back toward the freezing mark. 30 in Wichita with 31 in Hutch. Out to the west, above freezing in Colby and Hill City. Pretty cool in Garden City, but 36 in Liberal. We'll expect some 30s along the western border tonight. Otherwise, 20s and highs tomorrow either in the 60s or 50s for very much above normal. All the cold air is locked up behind these fronts, especially this Arctic stuff, so no Arctic air to worry about, and as this front comes through, it'll pretty much wash out, so no cooling from it. The precipitation staying off to the east and off to the west, so warm and dry is our weather pattern for some time to come. Here's the forecast now for your local area. For central Kansas overnight, some high clouds moving in, otherwise clear, temperatures dropping down to the mid-20s for the most part overnight, up to the mid to upper 40s by noon tomorrow, though, with mostly sunny skies, and sunny to partly cloudy tomorrow afternoon. Look for a high in the mid to upper 50s, well above normal in the 5 days, says. Although mornings will stay cool, even they will be above normal. Wednesday, we might spend the whole day above the freezing point, and high temperatures near record levels on Tuesday and Wednesday before cooling back into the 40s on Thursday and Friday. That's not too bad, but the dry part of the forecast is really a problem. And remember, if you got any extra coats, blankets, or sweaters to bring in, drop them off at Best Cleaners, KZSN Radio, or KAKE-TV with our Warm Hearts.
Well, it seems there's some correlation between wind gusts and temperature.
When the wind dies down, the wind chill factor gets a little bit less, but the temperature drops, so you really don't win in that kind of combination. Fortunately, the temperature didn't drop 71 points today, like the stock market.
Good for us. How lucky can we get?
That's right, and it will be going up more than make up for tonight's fall on tomorrow and Sunday. We'll talk about that and our next couple of storms right after this.
Kissin 102 and Best Cleaners are asking you to help with Warm Hearts again this year. Take your unneeded children's coats, sweaters, or blankets to any Best Cleaners and put them in the containers donated by BFI. Best Cleaners will clean them free of charge, and the Salvation Army will assist in finding those who need your help. This winter, give the gift of a warm heart.
The American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Well, I tell you, it feels rather warm here in the studio with about a zillion watts of light power beaming down, but outside, even with that moonlight, the scene has kind of an icy nature. The moon's orb has never really been described as warm, and it certainly isn't tonight, or at least the air you're looking through to see the moon certainly isn't tonight. It's chilly out there, and for that reason, I'd like to bring up the Warm Hearts program that goes on one more day, and we need to make that a big day for any old coats, sweaters, or blankets you have. Check those closets, check those attics, and bring them into KAKE-TV, Best Cleaners, or KZSN for our last day and roundup on the Warm Hearts program for 1990. Our next storm, meanwhile, is busy churning out in the Pacific. It's kind of a biggie, and it's located about 1,000 miles off the California coast, swirling around out here, and all this cold air is headed right toward us. Of course, it is going to take a while to get here, which means as the jet stream disturbance approaches from the west, the jet will rise up to the north of us, and that means a warm weekend for us. Then the jet stream wave rolls in late Sunday, and again on Monday to give us our next chance at rain and snow, maybe even a few thunder showers, and after that it passes off to the east, rolls out through the Ohio Valley and the East Coast. When that happens, we get another break from the rain and some warming temperatures. Then our second storm of the week will be moving into the southwest. That'll be moving into our area sometime on Thursday, maybe late Wednesday, but in any event, 2 storms this week with warm air before each one and cooler air as each one passes by. For the meantime, though, most of the storminess is well off to the east through the Great Lakes for several feet of snowfall in the lee of the lakes. Some snow still going on in New England and down through the Appalachians there. So a real wintry couple of days for this part of the country, but we are simply very dry. That's the way we'll stay tonight. And although we do have a few clouds out to the west, those are only the high thin type. Those will roll over with no chance of rain or snow whatsoever. At the airport at 10 o'clock, we'll expect the clear skies, maybe partly cloudy out to the west. Dew point down to 6 and winds out of the south at 5 miles per hour. Now that the wind has come around, it will help keep the temperatures from dropping much further, although we are all the way down to the 20s and fairly close to teens in some cases around Wichita and Hutchinson, where we have mid to upper 20s out west and 32 degrees at Liberal. Look for teens over most of the state tonight, over central and eastern Kansas, out to the west, maybe a few 20s. Highs tomorrow in the 60s and 50s over central and eastern Kansas, maybe even a little bit warmer on that on Sunday before our next storm comes in. Here's the way it'll work out with a warm front building out to the west. Currently, we're in this cool air under high pressure, but as that front shoves to the east tomorrow, we'll warm up nicely. Watch that snow move through the mountains both tomorrow and on Sunday. Well, we have sunny to partly cloudy skies, then more rain as that western storm approaches late Sunday, Monday, and early Tuesday. Here's the forecast now for your local area. For central Kansas overnight, mostly clear, maybe partly cloudy towards sunrise. Look for an overnight low in the teens, only a few degrees cooler than what we have now. South winds will keep the temperature from dropping much further. We'll bounce back quickly by noon tomorrow in the low to mid-40s. Mostly sunny and continue mostly sunny tomorrow afternoon. Low to mid-50s for highs in the 5 days, says. We'll top out around 60 on Sunday. Rain, maybe even thunder showers on Monday, back down to 50. Cold on Tuesday, maybe flurries in the morning. High of 40. Pretty cold on Wednesday, but warming up on Thursday with our next storm. From Thursday through Monday next week, normal temperatures and another chance of rain. Look at those above normal precipitation counts. That's exactly what we need down here with our dry weather. A couple of storms coming through and basically a wet weather pattern. Although there are some places where you don't have to worry about that kind of thing at all. Dry, wet, warm, cold.
And the weather forecast, not so amazing, still dry.
Well, it'll be amazing if we manage to get some rain around here, or snow, or sleet, or something that can be converted into liquid water sooner or later. That's really the name of the game this week. We've got a couple of chances with storms dancing around over the eastern Pacific, and we'll have your maybe wet forecast in just a minute.
This weather presentation has the American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
So here is where our winter weather has gone. But do you believe snow in Arizona from one of the recent storms through that area? Well, many of us think of Arizona as a vast desert. Much of the state is well above sea level, including this area near Sedona, about 4,000 feet above sea level, high enough to catch some of the moisture from the clouds and wring it out there as snow. And as the winds move farther east to us, they're generally too dry to give us rain or snow. So some of the snow we were counting on is laying on the ground right in this picture. But we do have another chance, the big storm system out to the west right now. The core of that storm system has been pounding central and northern California all day today with heavy thunderstorms and heavy rain, even a possibility of some severe thunderstorms and a rather unlikely location for severe weather. And as that storm center continues to move inland, there could be up to 3 or 4 feet of snow in the higher Sierras on the California-Nevada border. Now, the whole storm is much bigger than this part. It really stretches for hundreds of miles across the eastern Pacific. And one of the reasons it's so big is because any storm that happens to drift into this area from the west gets bigger and stronger. This is an area in the jet stream where storm formation is preferred. Now, we really have 2 storms, one here and another one just coming on the edge of the picture up here. And as this one chugs its way east, it'll shove this storm now off the coast farther inland toward us. Now, whether we get any rain or snow out of it depends on where the storm goes as it comes toward us. And if it were to take this track, it'd score a direct hit. We'd have a nice winter storm and a good deal of moisture. If it goes farther to the south through Texas, It's a clean mess. All the rain and snow are to the south, and we stay dry. And what I think will happen this time is that we'll have kind of an in-between storm track, good enough to give us a shot at some rain and snow and moisture, especially over southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma. So it could be better, but then again, it could be worse. Keep your fingers crossed. That will happen sometime late Monday, Tuesday, and early Wednesday, and we'll have that second storm moving in around Friday later in the week. Across the area today, Wichita hit a high of 48 degrees after a morning low of 17. That was nowhere near the state high. That was at least 68 degrees in the southwest of Elkhart. The state low this morning, only 12 above zero at Topeka. But we're not doing quite that badly right now. Generally in the 30s and 40s, especially across central and western Kansas. And as you go a little further west, things do get a little bit warmer, mainly in the 30s across the northwest, but Dodge at 40. Liberal still hanging in there at 48 degrees. Tonight we'll have some 20s across the eastern part of the state. The rest 30s, and the thing that will keep the temperature from dropping too much tonight is that south wind still blowing at 10 o'clock at around 20 miles per hour. So where the wind's a little weaker and the air's a little colder, some upper 20s, otherwise low to mid-30s across the board. And tomorrow, I think you'll like this, 50s. That'll be the coldest weather we'll have in central and eastern Kansas. A little bit farther out to the west, we'll have some 60s. Southwest Kansas and the Panhandle looks like a good chance at maybe even some 70s. Most of the cold air will be locked up around the Great Lakes with a couple of weak storm systems there. Behind this front and behind a new front moving down from Canada. On Sunday, we'll expect to have sunny to partly cloudy skies across the area with the cold air to the north and the snow to the west. But look what happens on Monday. One ingredient for winter weather, snow. Cold air. The other snow out here. They both move closer to us on Monday. So the storm will be closing in late Monday. Look for it Monday night and Tuesday. Here's the forecast now for your local area. Overnight, temperatures only dropping down to the low to mid-30s overnight due to the strong gusty south to southwest winds, up to the low to mid-50s by noon tomorrow. Continued mostly sunny tomorrow afternoon. Look for highs around 60 degrees in the metro. A little cooler on Monday. Chance of some precipitation, a variety of kinds on Tuesday and early Wednesday. Then back to sunny skies on Thursday with another storm, possibly on Friday. Christy?
Well, we're appropriate today. It was so nice out there.
That's right. It'd almost be nice to stick around and watch the pageant, unless there was a good snowstorm or something outside, at least if you're a weathercaster. If you like the good weather like today, I assume you did, Marty.
I loved it.
We'll have a little bit more of that in the 5-day outlook, but those of you who have been waiting for moisture, this 5-day outlook is just what the doctor ordered.
Presentation has the American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Well, yet another reason why we can't use averages to forecast around here. A beautiful sunset to finish off a great weekend, and it was January, so naturally the temperatures today were in the 60s and 70s, right? Well, we do have some inclement weather, but not in our area. It's off farther to the east where we have the usual rain and snowstorm moving through the upper Ohio Valley up toward the Great Lakes and off toward New England. Pretty quiet as far as rain or snow in our area, as we have been pretty much for most of the last couple of months, but we have some stuff showing out here in Utah, Nevada, out toward California. That's where the next big storm is, and a couple of feet of snow have fallen from anywhere in the Utah mountains through the high mountains of Nevada into the California Sierras, and this is just the frontal portion of the storm. It stretches way out to sea, about 500 or 600 miles, and we've got another one up here moving in on us as well. Looks like both these storms will hit us, and here's how it should work out. As the second storm south of Alaska moves down offshore and gets a lot more powerful, it'll kind of kick that first storm out of its position now toward us. That storm will shrink and weaken, but it will still be here when it moves into our area, so it should give us some rain, possibly even a little ice, but it looks like basically a warm storm. Then number 2 takes over and slides into our area on Friday. This one's going to be a nasty one. Looks like a lot of ice and snow, possibly a lot of wind as well, maybe a winter storm coming up on Friday. So the first punch tomorrow night, Tuesday, and early Wednesday. Then number 2 on Friday, and that looks like the stronger of the 2 storms. For the moment, though, things are pretty quiet. Some high-level cirrus clouds drifting over the panhandles in southwest Kansas. That will be all we'll see in the way of weather tonight, at least as far as sky conditions. Clear to partly cloudy, the snow staying out to the west tonight in the Rocky Mountains. Now, we had a fairly nice day today. The high in Wichita was 65. The state high, 72 degrees, and Liberal, so much for the calendar saying it's January. At the airport right now, temperatures dropping off a little bit. Dew point down to 26. Winds are light, and with light winds and dry air and partly to clear skies, we're going to cool down quite a bit tonight. We're already dropping well into the 30s and 40s with 42 at Salina, 43 at Hutch, and Wichita, Pratt, kind of the odd place out at 54 degrees, but cooling there as well. In the 30s in northwest Kansas, 40s in the southwest, except for Liberal at 50 degrees. Now, we will drop to the 20s along the west and northern parts of the state. Looks like 30s for the rest of us tonight, generally low to mid-30s, and tomorrow, one more nice day. A few 50s hanging on in the north and the east, but otherwise it looks like 60s for Monday, another spring-like January day, but after that it starts to go downhill. One front to the north, another one out to the west, some cold air building up to the north, although tomorrow looks pretty good. Both these systems will be closing in with the jaws of winter by late tomorrow. On Tuesday, the storm will be right across the area, and it looks like something will happen then that hasn't happened here in a long time. Up comes the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. Looks like a good chance of rain in our area and thunderstorms with the icy stuff off to the west, but then some of this may get into the act late on Wednesday and give us a little ice before that first storm is over. Then watch out for number 2 on Friday. Here's the forecast now for your local area. Overnight, pretty calm compared to the weather we've had, or weather we have coming up for the next 4 or 5 days. Looks like temperatures dropping down to the low to mid-30s. Mostly clear skies overnight, west to southwest winds. Then tomorrow morning, quickly up into the 50s under sunny skies, and we'll keep it mostly sunny tomorrow afternoon. Highs in the upper 50s to low 60s. 5 days says temperatures, it'll be downhill straight across the board after tomorrow. Good chance of storminess Tuesday and Wednesday. Probably rain ending Thursday morning. Number 2 rolling in on Friday and Saturday. Pretty stormy week. We haven't had one like this all winter long. Marty?
I really don't
TV
mind it.
Channel 10.